Hey everybody, it's Casual Boobs coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be covering the Kampfpanzer 3 Projekt 07 HK, longest name in the world. This is going to be a Battle Pass rewards tank. It's a tier 9, it's a tank destroyer. It's very STRV-esque, it's very similar in feel, kind of, to the STRV tier 9 tank destroyer. With some key differences and stuff. And I will say right off the bat, they want like 28 tokens for this thing. At first, I was going to say my predisposition was, why would you buy this? You could just get a STRV. And I was just kind of turned off by this because I figured it would just be another STRV. And I've played 2 games in the thing, and I feel like I have a pretty good feel for what it can and can't do. And I'll show you some of the things from that game and what I've kind of picked up from it and stuff. I do like the tank more than I expected to. 28 tokens is kind of a lot. Like, I don't know. I just think they're asking a lot. Even if it were, you know, a Kampfpanzer again, I would still think 28 tokens is a lot. But I do like the tank a lot more than I thought I would. So I do think it's better than I expected it to be. It's pretty. It's like more of a Swedish tank destroyer is like a pure. Like, it's really hard to be aggressive in it because it needs that siege mode to do things. And this, although the siege mode is really, really helpful and it's a really good sniper when you use it, it doesn't actually need it necessarily to still be effective. And so you don't have to be constantly defensive. You can be aggressive in this thing. And so because of that, it's a little more like a Swedish tank mixed with a medium tank, kind of. And so because of that, I actually like it a lot more. I think it's a lot more than I thought I would, and I think it's pretty solid. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to run through the stats really quick, and so first we're going to compare it to the STRV. The STRV is in siege mode, and then we're going to compare it to the Kampfpanzer 3 in its own siege mode, and then we'll compare it here. This third one is the Kampfpanzer without siege mode. And just so you know, the STRV tank takes 2 seconds in, 2 seconds out, and the Kampfpanzer takes 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out, so a little bit longer. And I know that you'll notice right away that the DPM goes up when you're not in siege mode, and it goes down when you're in siege mode. Your reload gets longer. One of the things that people do in the Kampfpanzer is, because the Kampfpanzer is 2 seconds in, 2 seconds out, you can do this little dance where you shoot and then press the button to get out of siege mode, and then that will shorten your reload, and then you press the button again to get back into it, and you're doing this back and forth to try to minimize the reload. And I think I never did that because it always just seemed like so much work, but I think because it's 3 seconds in and out on this tank, that it's probably not going to be a viable strategy, right? Because by the time you're in and out, it's 6 seconds total, and that's not going to gain you anything, I don't think. So Wargaming have thought about that, and this is the result. Having said that, I don't think that the 3 seconds is quite as punishing, because the medium, the travel mode is actually fairly usable. We'll just get into the specifics here. So you do lose out on some penetration, but like the gun and the STRV gun is just a fantastic laser beam machine. It just feels really good. It's all about the gun. It's all about the DPM. And so when you're talking apples to apples of STRV versus Kampfpanzer in siege mode, you lose out on quite a bit of DPM and the penetration. And then we're going down here. But actually, your soft stats, your bloom, when you move the turret around, which in this case the whole tank is a turret, it is quite a bit worse, right? You'll see this one I'm about to show you in game 1. The bloom is quite a bit worse, but the final accuracy, I found the thing to be fantastic. The gun was extremely well behaved. I felt like I could just put shots exactly where I wanted to. And whenever I missed, it was because I made a mistake. And so this felt very good to me. It felt very forgiving. And the STRV is also good, right? But I by the time I got down to like food and things like that, I could get this really easily down to a pretty respectable number. So the bloom was a little bit less forgiving, but that's also partially because the STRV, by comparison, the bloom on the STRV and when you're in siege mode it's dialed in all the time, and so of course everything's gonna feel bad relative to that. The gun stats when it's not in siege mode are not actually catastrophically bad. It's not. This is the biggest thing: is the STRV. If you're not in siege mode, you're doing it wrong. You just can't even shoot the damn thing unless you're in siege mode. The Kampfpanzer, it felt like definitely felt like this is an option. And you'll see in one of the games where I don't even get into siege mode because I needed to hit the shots quicker. I needed to pump out DPM, and I didn't need the extra accuracy. And so these gun stats are totally usable. It's worth noting that because all these are tank destroyers, you don't get a V stab, so you can't do a lot to really fix these soft stabs. So it just is what it is. Elevation is blah blah blah, doesn't matter. Your gun depression when you're in siege mode is 13 versus 12 and 12. Again, this is fine. You can work ridges just like you can in a STRV. The traverse, it basically doesn't have a turret, so that's one thing. And one downside I noticed is that when you're in travel mode, it's tempting to play this thing kind of like a medium tank. But it's a little awkward. It takes a little getting used to because you don't really have a turret, right? So you're almost like an SU-122-44 where you're a fairly mobile platform and you have a good gun, but you don't have a turret. And so you need to make sure that, you just need to be careful. It's very easy to accidentally get flanked and then you're effed in this thing. Mobility wise, this is the big thing. In siege mode, all of the STRV tanks are very, very slow, which is why a turbo is extremely important, because that turbo will increase your movement speed in forward and reverse speed, especially in turbo mode. In siege mode. In siege mode, in the Kampfpanzer is already at 20 and 18, which is very, very, very forgiving. Like you'll see when I had to shift positions, it was much less punishing to be in the wrong spot and have to move in this tank than the other tank, because 20 is okay. Now I still put a Vista, or I still put a turbo on it, because I thought it would be worse than it is. But I could definitely see taking it off and putting it on with something else. But I don't know what I would put it on. I don't know what I would put on instead of a turbo, honestly. And then in travel mode, of course, it's just pretty quick either way. 23 power to weight. It feels like a medium tank, not like exceptionally fast, but not slow either. The ground resistances are fine. Nothing to really write home about there. The armor we'll get into. I don't want to talk about it right now, because it's not necessarily relevant without seeing it. It's one of those wedge-shaped things. Let me see here. The camo is just about as good as a STRV, which is nice. The camo, I mean, I didn't actually even get a chance to make use of it, but the camo is empirically pretty decent. And in fact, I have to say, this one thing as I'm looking at it now, I realize I didn't test. I did not test whether camo net and binoculars work the same as the STRV, where if you're in travel mode and you just rotate the hull and you don't move. With a STRV, if you're in shooting mode, if you're in siege mode, and you don't move the hull, you just rotate it, the binoculars will stay up. Can confirm it does work. If you rotate while you're in siege mode, your binoculars stay up. But anyways, moving on, the one thing is the view range is 360 on the STRV, which is unfortunate, and it's 350 on this tank, which is really, really bad. So this is going to be something, this combined with the crew layout is really irritating. So you can see basically, in a lot of ways, you're trading off some gun performance in regards to like penetration and DPM for the chance to have more mobility in the siege mode. So it's a little more forgiving in this way. And also, if you're willing to trade off your soft stats, you get a lot better hard stats, so at the 0.24 final dispersion and stuff. So it's kind of, I feel like it's a pretty balanced tank, because it can kind of do a little bit of, it trades off some things for other things. And then you get this kind of medium tank-esque mode, which is a little bit harder to use, but if you can manage to use it, then you get really good DPM and stuff. So that is, those are the stats. We'll get into the armor here. The armor, this is, so the armor is actually pretty okay. This entire thing is 45 millimeters thick, and you're like, Boops, what the hell are you talking about? 45 is awful. Why would you think that is good? It's good because this whole gun is just like a floating gun in the air. So that's interesting. Great job. I guess you just load the shells in the back. Yeah. Anyways, the whole thing is 45 millimeters thick, but it's very, very well angled. So here's my caveat. If you are shooting, okay, so first, if you understand what triple overmatching is, in this game, if you have a gun that is the caliber that is more than 3 times the thickness of the armor, it doesn't matter what angle you're at, if it's an AP round or an APCR round, you will overmatch and always penetrate. So if you have like for instance, this STRV, the STRV tier 9 is 40 millimeters thick, almost everywhere, except for some tiny little spots. On the front, it's 40 millimeters and it's very well angled. So if you have 40 times 3 is 120. So if you have a 121 or a 122, a lot of Russian tanks have 122 millimeter caliber guns. It doesn't matter what if your penetration is high or low or good or bad. It doesn't matter. As long as you hit that spot, you will always penetrate. So that's triple overmatching. This tank is 45 millimeters thick everywhere except in the back here, which we'll talk about. These are weak spots. Live model, right? You got a lower plate just like everything else, and you got these very small weak spots that somebody's using. You see this, right? It's got a cupola, which is very, very thin. But because this is 45, what that means is you need to have 45 times 3 is 135. You need to have 136 caliber gun or higher in order to overmatch, which that is a much smaller group of guns, right? Now we're talking about, you know, like 152 millimeters, 155 millimeter guns. That's a much smaller pool. So what I'm saying is, if somebody's there's a caveat here. Most guns are going to have a lot harder time penetrating this tank than they would the STRV tier 9. As long as you're hull down and you're not exposing this lower plate, this armor is going to work pretty well. Caveat. The caveat is if someone is shooting heat rounds, high explosive anti-tank. Heat rounds do not necessarily care, or they ricochet at 85 millimeters. We have to get into ammo mechanics a little bit here, and then we'll get right back out. Armor-piercing rounds and APCR rounds ricochet at, like, I think it's 75 millimeters, or I guess we can probably just know, can't we? It's whatever about what this is. Yeah, I think it's 75 millimeters because here we are right on the edge. It's 70. 70 millimeters is where APCR bounces off, and I think it's 75 for AP rounds, somewhere in there. The point is, if it's very well angled, it'll bounce off. A heat round doesn't do that until you're at 85 millimeters, which is almost flat on, like almost. Basically, it almost never bounces off, and so or never auto ricochets. And so what that means is, if someone has, let's just say you're even a tier 7, and you're in. Here we go. Where's my SU-152? Let's say you're in a tier 7 SU-152 shooting the 152 millimeter big ass derp gun with your heat round as a premium that's got 250 millimeters of pen, right? All day you're going in this thing. And even if it's at a very, very well angled thing here, you see, because this is at 80.5 and this is at 79.5. And so because heat ricochets, I thought it was 85, but it must be 80. The point is, heat ricochets a lot less. And so because this relies on the angle, if somebody is willing to shoot heat at this tank, you are much less likely like this armor turns to cheese very quickly as soon as somebody has heat rounds to shoot you. So if they shoot premium rounds, which are, you know, most tanks, I would say it's 50-50. A lot of the tanks in this game have premium rounds that are heat rounds, and if they use those on this tank, then all of a sudden your armor doesn't count for shit. So if somebody has standard rounds or whatever and you're hull down, the armor can work really well. If they shoot heat rounds, you're effed. And so that's kind of annoying, because if you're in a tank that doesn't have heat rounds, this tank just became a lot harder to deal with. So that's just something. The armor is, I think, going to be much better than the tier 9 STRV for that reason. And so I wanted to show you two different games, and the first one I'll show in fast forward. The first one is going to be, I played this tank a lot like a STRV, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just assuming it was the first game I ever played in the thing. We'll see how it plays in this classic tank destroyer kind of mode. And the second one, I wasn't really allowed to make that happen. I had to play it more like a medium tank, and so it kind of, I think the second one really showed what the thing is capable of, but I'm going to show you both. So we'll start with game one right now. I'm cutting in here because I forgot to mention before, the crew layout is super freaking irritating. This is a 3-man crew where it's the commander is a gunner, the driver is also a gunner, and then the radio man is a loader. It's not a loader that is also the radio man, it's a radio man that is also a loader. So this crew layout is probably the most unique and irritating thing that I've ever seen lately. So you will probably, it's not going to train crew very well for you, or it's very likely that you're going to have a hard time getting all the different crew skills that you want. I hate the way they do this. I'm sorry that it's happening. This is what it is. So that's something else. This is a little bit annoying as far as crew layout is concerned. So, okay, so we're going to watch, this is the first game I ever played in the tank, and I'm going to put it on fast forward here a little bit so we can see through, and we'll, yeah. now we're back down to regular speed, and you can see I'm just going to go up to the normal tank destroyer mode, and you can see I'm a little bit out of position. I can't see this TVP, right? So I'm still in siege mode, and I was able to back up and turn and move, and then the gun aims in and aims in and aims in, and then I put the shot just exactly where I wanted to. And so one of the things that I noticed right away from this is if I was in the STRV, I would not have been able to move nearly as easily. And so that really, like, and like this, the gun aims in, like I feel like I can, like I just put that right through the track, is amazing. And so yeah, the DPM isn't quite as good when it's in this, when I'm in the mode here, but I'm just nailing these shots. I was very impressed. I was like, wow, all right, it is just like a STRV. This is great. So I just remembered where that guy was. Awesome. And so this is not the most exciting gameplay, but just this is kind of what a STRV is meant to do, and it does it pretty well. I didn't aim that one very well. You got to aim at the tank to hit the tank, and I hit the side of the tank because that's where I aimed. So that one's on me. But you can see, I mean, I'm in this super overpowered spot, and nobody's really allowed to play the game on the ridge here because I exist. But I have the ability, like, I look at how small this reticle is. I could put it in the side of that guy's turret from, you know, he's probably, what, 500 meters away? And so this feels really comfy. And you can see as I'm moving the reticle back and forth, it does bloom out quite a bit. But if you give it a second to aim in, like it does the sniping role really, really well. So I do think that this is, you know, in the same way that the Kampfpanzer kind of straddles being a tank destroyer and a regular medium tank, this kind of straddles being a STRV and a medium tank, sort of. And this tells me that it's definitely got the capacity to run and do STRV things, because look at me. I mean, I'm just sitting here. I mean, this thing is like a laser pointer with how small it gets. And again, I don't have, that was on me. I shot the ground because I aimed at the ground, but I don't even have improved aiming. I don't have anything that really improves, you know, I've just got food. I've got a food, rammer, purple, oh, see, optics and an improved slot, and then a turbo. I've got a purple turbo on it here. And so I don't have anything that's going to improve the gun stats beyond a rammer. So this is just basically stock with a well-trained crew. So now at this point, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm going to get into the game here a little bit. And you can see the mobility. It's fine, totally fine. I think it's maybe about on par with your STRV, because those, once they're in travel mode, the STRV is pretty quick. But yeah, it gets around pretty good. And I was thinking, I'm going to get in the game here so that our team doesn't just blow this entire 1-2 line push, because they're pushing right into a bunch of, you know, pushing right into a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to post up here because it looks like the char is doing things, and I get a free shot of the char. SU is having a really bad day, so we're going to wait for it, and he's not going anywhere, so we're going to shoot right there, get in his lower plate, and boom, here we go. And so now this is the point where I actually make a mistake because I just did it poorly. I was thinking, all right, I'm gonna, that TVP is a one shot, and I have hit points. So my plan was to dive in here into cover, maybe take one hit from the TVP and shoot him because he's a one shot, and then try to make sure that there's another angle for our team on the 1-2 line so that we could push forward. And as you can see, he was ready to go, and that's unfortunate. He put 2 in, and then I auto aimed like a fucking idiot, and I ate his entire mag. So that TVP just got to shoot me 4 times for free, and then died. So I just gave him an extra 400, gave him an extra like 1,000 damage, most of my hit points, or was it 1,300? Anyways, you are very welcome, Mr. TVP. I'm sorry to my team for throwing that one a little bit, but that's not what you do, right? That's not what you're supposed to do. That guy shot me right in the lower plate. It was no big deal for him, and also he had heat rounds, so you can see he didn't really have to aim. He could shoot me wherever he wanted to. So that's not what you're supposed to do. Charging in at a full health TVP or on a full mag TVP. So don't do it like that. But it did do the sniping thing really well. So right away we're gonna get to game 2 now. All right, so for game 2, it's a tier 9 game, and there's 2 already in the game, and there's tier 8s in the game. We're playing on Redshire, and this is the game that made me decide that I was even going to make a video about this tank, because at this point I just figured it was, you know, the last game that I just showed you was the first game that I ever played. This is the second. I'm in siege mode, and I was just thinking, all right, well, this is just a STRV, basically. And, you know, I ended it with that TVP experience, and I was like, all right, well, it definitely can't do medium tank things, because that's how that went. But I decided to give it a spin anyways. We're using the same equipment as last time. We've got the purple turbo, we got a rammer in the improved slot, and we've got optics in the improved slot. And you can see the game must have just kind of unfucked itself because my view range is back up at 450 like it should be. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but here we are now. And I was just waiting for somebody to do something kind of in the middle like they normally do. And we got a Purging that's thinking about it. And our team is busy throwing their faces away on the 8 line. The 8 line is a waste of time, guys. It's just idiots pushing into idiots. You just can't... That's just not where you go. So anyways, ignoring that, I'm thinking, okay, well, right as soon as I try to back up and I was like, oh, maybe there's going to be some guys doing things on the ledge there. I'd back up to try to do something about that, and that's exactly when the Purging decided to move past, and so I missed my opportunity there. That's just how life goes. But I also haven't taken any damage, so I was putting a few blind shots in because if you aim it just perfectly, it's possible to shoot the sniping spots in both spawns. Both spawns sniping spots can shoot each other if you know exactly where to aim. And so I was putting some early rounds in, just trying to hope that I could get that. And I don't know if we'll have to see in the post game if they actually did hit it or not. But now again, this TL7, they're all over here, and so I'm expecting them to pop up because our IS6 is running down the 6 line like a fucking idiot. It's just not going very well. And so I'm expecting these guys to pop up, and when they do, I want to be able to shoot them. And again, I missed my round on the oh my god, look at this. I could put the shot on the TL7 like no sweat. I put it in his like little turret part. And that's just something to say with like the accuracy of this thing. I don't have improved aiming. It feels really good, right? The accuracy felt really nice. But again, I missed my shot on the oh my god. Missed my shot on the Purging again because I'm not allowed to hit him, I guess. But we're just going to take what we can get. I'm not liking how this game is going, right? The idiots on the 8 line have thrown their faces away, and we're outnumbered over there. And we also don't have a lot of action on the 1-2 line. Like, this is all going badly. We don't really have any map presence anywhere. I want to be helpful. I want to be useful. So I figured, okay, if they're going to do things on that shelf over there on the 7 line, at least I can be here and maybe put some rounds in, and then maybe I can be helpful if they try, like if this T-77 backs up a little bit, like the defender is fucked. Maybe if the T-77 backs up, I can support him in some way. Like, I'm kind of being forced to play this tank like a medium because there's tank destroyers sitting in our base. There's like 4 of them already. And so me doing that with everybody else isn't going to help. So I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe let's just see if somebody does something aggressive on the shelf here. I feel like this is where I need to be because there's nowhere else to be, but I don't really want to be. This isn't going well. And I put that shot into the TL7 where I thought he might be. And we'll have to see in the post game whether that actually hits. And there he is. He shows up on less hit points, so I think that did actually hit, which is good. And I've asked the T-77 to back up, and we'll see if he actually does. But the Skoda has come over here as well. Unfortunately, there's just... These tanks are scary, and they have hit points, and the Skoda doesn't have hit points, so it looks like he's leaving. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I need to leave too. This is just not going very well. I was just going to totally bail. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm going to be like a STRV, but I guess I can, you know, I'm in medium tank mode, I'm in travel mode, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I just have to play this like a medium tank right now. And since they're kind of, this isn't as awkward as I thought it would be, and I do have the DPM and the gun to be dangerous, so I was like, all right, well, we'll just do this. And I whiffed the shot because I'm a bad player. RNG said I would not hit that Mivy, but now the IS-3 is a one-shot, and everybody's kind of focused on my friend, and nobody knows what this tank is, really, so... from here on, we're going to shoot heat rounds, because I can't afford to be bouncing shots like that, and the 8 line is collapsing, right? The Chieftain prototype is in a... I'm totally brain off here. I was like, blah, run! And I frickin' tripped on the... I don't know. All of this was awkward, and I was worried about the WZ, but the WZ... bounced, right? He has that AP round, which must have been an AP round, and I switched to heat rounds, and so I could pen, and because this thing has that overly angled bit, if he'd have shot me in my lower plate, I'd be dead, and he didn't shoot heat rounds, so I bounced him. So now I figured, okay, so here now, we just have to sit here, and we're gonna just, I mean, the Skoda is coming around, so I just have to exist. I'm on 1 hit point, and I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm just gonna try to do as much damage as I possibly can. We're going to sit right here, and if this takes me out, then that's fine. We're going to do that. Heat round. This Mivy doesn't care about anybody except me. I mean, he's trying to take out the one shot, which is the right play, and then, which was me. But then he realized he was getting clipped out by a Skoda. So, thank you to the Skoda, because if not for that guy doing those things, I would have died and lost. So, Yes. So now I figured, okay, I thought at this point, my thought was that the M103 was playing around in the Abbey. And I was thinking, all right, well, if I go to these window boxes over here, I can shoot into the Abbey for free. And maybe I can take out or put some shots into the M103. Turns out he's not there. And so I can almost immediately tell I'm trying to find the shot, but in retrospect, this is not the way. It looks like a loss, right? But I was like, maybe I can catch somebody out in the middle. This is me playing badly. I should have not gone here at all. I should have gone back to the shelf at B3 to put some shots into the M103 because this is me pinging to where I want to be so that hopefully people can see what the plan is. But right now it's basically me and this Skoda and two arty that don't really count necessarily against 1, 2, 3, 4 real tanks and two arty. This is not looking awesome. So I'm thinking, all right, well, let's just do what we can and it'll be fine, and hopefully we can make this happen. This M103 is... okay, he's here, and I'm in siege mode, and even though I shouldn't be, and I whiff the shot, and I'm thinking, all right, time to dip, right? I'm in siege mode, and I was still able to get out of that area well, fast enough, and so that was kind of nice. This again, like with we got 1 hit point, so we got to juke and jive and stuff, but this M103 just doesn't care. So I'm not in siege mode anymore. I'm going to just sit right here and aim. I'm going to put the shot in. And because I want the DPM, I don't necessarily need the extra accuracy. I just need to hit the shots. And we'll say, because these are pretty decently long shots, and I want to make sure that they hit. I'm letting the gun aim in as much as I possibly can. But you can see I'm tearing through this M103 pretty quick. And he's dead. And so here we go. The shelf is where I need to be and where I should have been before. And we're just going to... There's our scorpion friend. And I shot the ground. I aimed it a little bit low. That's on me. And as this was happening, I was like, bah, boops, you gotta hit the shots. Fuck. And now we got 2 arty, and that forest spirit is on pretty healthy. It's just me now. I have 1 hit point against a forest spirit on 800 hit points, a scorpion who's a 1-shot, and 2 arty. This is not good. But I'm already like, I was pretty happy with generally how it played so far. So I'm thinking, all right, well, if I die here, this tank was already pretty okay. Because I could do things like if I was in a STRV, I felt like I was totally hosed. But I bounced enough stuff and oh my god, where the hell? She was blind firing a bush and I thought I had a shot here, but this was a big one. So I had the shot and then I'm in travel mode here and I could still land the shot. And it was really like that right there put the forest spirit down to very one-shottable, right? I was able to get 2 rounds in because I was not in, because of the DPM. So I'm thinking, all right, well, they definitely know I'm up on this shelf, and so I definitely can't keep sitting there. And because the longer I sit there, the arty is just going to pre-aim. This is just going to be bad because both of those artillery, I think the tier 9 is pretty, the M53, 55 is pretty fast. The SU, I think the tier 8 is, they get around okay, right? It's the German ones that are really slow. So I'm thinking, all right, I have to do something aggressive here before the arty makes this a really big problem. So I'm thinking, all right, it's time to close distance and come down here. I don't have time to go around to the, back to the shelf. It wouldn't be useful. And luckily this forest spirit is, I don't know what he was planning on doing, but he did not shoot fast enough. And also, by the way, I'm reloading really quick, especially quick because I'm in adrenaline rush. You can see the little notification there. I'm in adrenaline rush mode, and so this is all like, oh, and they already tried to shotgun and he missed. And so I'm still on my 1 hit point, and you can tell the arty shell came from over there, and oh my god, I couldn't quite turn around fast enough, and it's extra insult to injury because this is that scorpion who I missed. He was running across the open, and I shot the ground in front of him like a fucking idiot, and if I had hit that shot, the scorpion would be dead, and it would just be me and this artillery, and so I probably would have carried this game if I had hit the shot on the scorpion. Alright, so at the end of the game, we ended up with 5 kills, 5,144 damage. Looks like that blind shot on the TL7 did hit, and it doesn't look like any of my blind shots in the very beginning on tank destroyers. I don't think any of those hit, but I could be... Yeah, no, I don't think any of those did. Unfortunately, only a 3rd class because we didn't get any battle hero. We did lose the game, and we didn't get a battle hero Top Gun high caliber type thing. So that was 796 base XP. Pretty happy with this game, honestly. I as soon as this happened, my hands were shaking and that whole thing, and I was pretty happy with how this went. And I definitely felt like I could do things as a medium tank in this game, right? It definitely felt more capable than a Swedish tank destroyer, where on those tanks you have to be defensive all the time, and in this one I felt like I could play like kind of a pocket medium tank when necessary. And I think if I hadn't done that, if I would have been in a STRV, this game would have been over much quicker. I wouldn't have had as good of a result. And then economically, you can see here, I did put a bunch of blind fire out, and I think I had some consumables, so it didn't bill me entirely, but I probably would have broken even with this one, honestly, if I had had to buy the consumables and stuff. So, you know, I didn't shoot a lot of premium, and the premium that I shot, I think I hit. So it's about as profitable as your tier 9 reward tanks typically are. Also, it gets that free large repair kit. So overall, I expected this tank to be lame and boring and bland and just like a German version of a Swedish tank destroyer, but it feels definitely like it has a role to play. It can play that pocket medium tank role, and so I will probably like this tank a lot more. I kind of don't like the STRV tanks because it's so hard to carry games. You just have to be defensive. But this one has enough versatility that I think I'll probably enjoy this quite a bit. So is it worth 28 tokens or whatever they want? 18? Is it 18? No, it's 28. Is it worth 28 tokens? I don't know. That's a lot. But I definitely think it's a tank that I'll enjoy playing. And I also don't think it's terribly toxic for the game, right? It's a little, this whole like super angly, sloped, angled armor thing that requires heat to get through is kind of a bullshit game mechanic. But otherwise, I would rather have this than impenetrable turrets all day. So anyways, I didn't expect to make this video, frankly, but I had such a good time with this tank that I figured I'd show you guys. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.